Very good morning to you. Welcome to my thought for the day. We are now in 1 Peter 4. And there are several times in this letter when Peter keeps referring to the persecution, the suffering that the people he's writing to are experiencing and that he has experienced. There's no doubt that at the time when Peter wrote, there was great persecution under the emperor, and Christianity was seen as a threat to the power of the enemy, because Christians wouldn't acknowledge that the emperor was a god. I mean, they honoured the emperor, but they talked about a kingdom, another kingdom, and because he didn't, the emperor and his people, his cohorts, his senate didn't understand what they were talking about. There was great suffering in the church. But it is evident that Peter was expecting the coming of the Lord Jesus to be very soon. And why wouldn't he? Everything that had happened in his experience of Jesus had happened fairly soon. The events had followed each other fairly soon. And when Jesus ascended into heaven, there was no indication that it would be a long time before Jesus came back again. Those who watched him go, and those two men that appeared to them, said to them, he will come again in the like way that he's gone into heaven. That's in the beginning of Acts. But here we are, at least 30 years later, and Jesus hasn't returned yet, and things are getting very difficult for the church. And there's a lot of suffering, a lot of persecution. And the first few verses in chapter 4, encourage the people to keep on, to pursue things and not to go back to what they had been saved from. And that people who watched them and saw them would not understand why they didn't go back to what they'd been saved from. Excuse me. And then in verse 7 he says, the end of all things is at hand. Therefore keep sane and sober for your prayers. Above all, hold unfailing your love for one another, since love covers a multitude of sins. He believed the end was coming very soon, that Jesus would return. And this is such an important thing for us to hold on to. It has been 2,000 years since Jesus died, almost to the year, really, around 2,000 years since Jesus died, and he hasn't returned yet. And the scriptures actually say there will be those people who say, well, where is he? You keep saying he's coming back. Where is he? You know, what on earth do you base that on? But the truth is that Jesus will come. He will return. He could return today. He could return before tomorrow dawns. And the things that you are planning for, or fearing, or worrying about, or troubled about, may never happen. Jesus is coming back. It's the most wonderful truth that is unfulfilled yet, that Jesus is coming back. And I know there's a lot of discussion and argument and difference of opinion about how the verses that relate to his second coming will fit together. And there's not much point in me telling you what I believe about it, because it probably doesn't marry up with what you believe about it. The important thing is that he is going to come again. He promised he would come, and he will come. But we don't know the hour of his coming, and we're told that even he didn't know when he would come back. Only the Father knew. And when the Father says go, Jesus will come back. And I believe, just as the verses that talk about Jesus coming the first time, to those who read them, they knew they referred to the Messiah, the Anointed One, coming back, but they didn't put them all together in the right order, because even in what is designated as one verse, sometimes there are things that are separated by years in the life of Jesus when he came. But they were all fulfilled. And now, having seen the record of what he did and what happened to him, we can see how the verses fit. And we can see that Isaiah 53 talks about the crucifixion, and that Psalm 22 also has verses that refer to the crucifixion in quite detail. And so I know for certain that when Jesus returns, it will not be like the first coming of Jesus was not in one moment. All those verses were not fulfilled in 1 hour or 1 day or 1 year. They were fulfilled in 34 years, during the space of 34 years from when he was conceived. So I believe that the second coming will take a period of time, a number of years. And when he has come and it's all sorted, all the verses will fit together. So it doesn't really matter what order you think things will happen in. It doesn't really matter if you believe in the rapture or not. The important thing to stand fast on is the fact that Jesus is coming again. And he could come at any moment, like a thief in the night. A thief comes without warning you. If he warned you, you'd be prepared, wouldn't you? But we need to have in the foremost of our mind the fact that Jesus could come at any moment. So we must hold everything on this earth lightly, because we can't take it with us. Don't hang on to things. Don't be too attached to the earthly things here. Lay up some treasure in heaven that will be there for you when you get there. But while we're here, the important thing is to hold unfailing your love for one another. Whatever we do, however we behave, however we treat each other within the church, it should be motivated by love. For love's sake. Love that cares. Love that wants to encourage. Love that wants to promote others. Love that wants to honour others. Love that wants to welcome others into your home. Love that wants to help and support and minister to and be available to those people within your fellowship, first of all, and then those to whom you have to relate in society. Let love be your motivating source, power, because God is love. And we're most like him when we are loving one another. So, even so, Lord Jesus, come. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.